Alara knew the face staring back from the polished surface of the mirror was not truly hers. Not yet, anyway. Long, slender fingers, still undeniably masculine despite her attempts at softening them, pushed back a mop of artfully tousled brown hair. The reflection revealed a visage with features that, in another context, might be considered delicate: high cheekbones, full lips, and large, expressive hazel eyes framed by lashes that a cisgender woman would envy. Yet, as Alara gazed, all she saw were the harsh, angular lines of her jaw, the faint shadow of stubble that stubbornly resisted her morning shave, and the undeniable breadth of her shoulders. A heavy sigh escaped her, shoulders slumping as she swung her legs over the side of the bed. Another day. Another sunrise where the person the world saw was not the person she knew herself to be. It was a constant, aching dissonance, a melody played in the wrong key, echoing hollowly within her. For as long as she could remember, this feeling had been her most constant companion, a subtle whisper in childhood, a growing hum in adolescence, and now a roaring symphony in her late 20s. Each morning brought a renewed battle against the mirror, a silent plea for recognition that never quite came. A sharp, insistent rap at the door jolted Alara from her melancholic reverie. "You decent in there, Sleeping Beauty?" a familiar voice called, laced with an easygoing amusement that, despite Alara's mood, always managed to coax a small smile from her lips. "As decent as I'll ever be," Alara called back, a touch of theatrical exasperation in her tone. "Come on in, Orion." The door swung open and Orion sauntered in, radiating an almost offensively cheerful energy for the early hour. His wild, coppery curls were barely contained by a backwards baseball cap, and his vibrant green eyes sparkled with an infectious mischief. Orion, with his boundless optimism and unwavering loyalty, was the anchor in Alara's turbulent sea. "Rise and shine, princess," he teased, flopping onto the bed beside Alara with a bounce that sent a ripple through the mattress. "We've got a big day ahead of us." Alara groaned, burying her face in her hands. "Don't remind me. I still can't believe I let you talk me into this." Orion's expression softened, a comforting hand coming to rest on her shoulder. "Hey now, none of that. This consultation, it could change everything for you. Dr. Anya Sharma is the best in the business when it comes to gender-affirming care. You know that." I know, Alara mumbled, her voice muffled by her hands. "It's just, what if she takes one look at me and laughs me right out of her office? What if I'm not, woman enough?" The words, whispered into her palms, carried the weight of years of insecurity. "That's ridiculous, and you know it," Orion said firmly, his voice cutting through her self-doubt. "You're more of a woman than half the cis ladies I know. Trust me. Now, come on, get that cute butt of yours in gear. We've got an appointment to keep." He gave her shoulder a gentle squeeze. With a theatrical sigh that was more for show than genuine reluctance, Alara hauled herself to her feet and shuffled towards the bathroom. Fine. But you're buying me coffee on the way. The good stuff, not that gas station swill you usually try to pass off as caffeine." Orion's laughter, warm and resonant, followed her as she closed the bathroom door. "Your wish is my command, Your Highness." As the shower sputtered to life, releasing a comforting plume of steam, Alara allowed herself a moment of quiet reflection. She'd been dreaming of this day for as long as she could remember, the day she'd finally take the first real, tangible steps towards becoming the woman she knew she was meant to be. But now that it was here, a tangible reality rather than a distant fantasy, she found herself paralyzed by a swirling vortex of fear and doubt. What if it all went wrong? What if the hormones didn't work, or worse, what if they did, but left her looking like some grotesque caricature of femininity, a poorly rendered imitation rather than a genuine expression? What if the world, already so confusing and often unkind, became even more hostile? What if she lost the people she loved, those who saw her now, even if they didn't fully comprehend the woman hidden beneath? Alara shook her head forcefully, sending water droplets flying. No, she couldn't let herself spiral into this negativity, not today. This was her chance. Perhaps her only chance, in a life that had felt like a dress rehearsal for someone else's play, to finally feel at home in her own skin. She had to seize it, not with trembling hands, but with a firm, determined grip. This was her truth, and it was time to live it. 30 minutes later, freshly showered and dressed, Elara emerged from the bathroom. She had agonized over her outfit, finally settling on a flowing floral skirt in soft pastel hues and a lavender-colored sweater that brought out the warmth in her hazel eyes. It was feminine, comfortable, and felt like a small act of rebellion against the restrictive clothing she often wore. Orion, who had been scrolling through his phone, let out a low, appreciative whistle, earning him a playful swat from Elara. "Looking good, girl," he said with a wink. "Ready to knock him dead?" Elara took a deep breath, squaring her shoulders. The fear hadn't entirely vanished, but it was now laced with a potent surge of determination. "As ready as I'll ever be," she replied, summoning a brave smile. "Let's do this." The drive to Dr. Sharma's office passed in a blur of nervous chatter and Orion's half-hearted jokes. Elara found herself staring out the window, watching the city wake up, each building, each tree, each person a vibrant part of a world she felt she was finally, truly about to join. Before she knew it, they were pulling into the parking lot of a sleek, modern medical building, all glass and steel, exuding an air of quiet professionalism. "Well, this is it," Orion said, killing the engine. He turned to face Elara, his expression serious, the playful glint in his eyes momentarily subdued. "No matter what happens in there, I want you to know how proud I am of you. You're the bravest person I know, Elara." Tears pricked at Elara's eyes, and she blinked them back furiously, determined not to ruin her carefully applied mascara. "Thanks, Orion," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "I couldn't do this without you." They shared a quick, fierce hug, a silent exchange of strength and unwavering support, before climbing out of the car. As they approached the building's entrance, Elara's steps faltered, a sudden wave of dizziness washing over her. Orion was there in an instant, his arm circling her waist, steadying her. "I've got you," he murmured, his voice a solid presence in her ear. "We're in this together, remember?" Elara nodded, drawing deeply from her friend's unwavering support. Together, they pushed through the gleaming glass doors and into the bright, airy lobby. The receptionist, a woman with kind eyes and a welcoming smile, looked up as they approached. "Good morning," she greeted them. "How can I help you today?" Elara's throat went dry, the carefully rehearsed words evaporating from her mind like mist. Orion squeezed her hand encouragingly, and she found her voice at last, though it was barely a whisper. I have an appointment with Dr. Sharma," she managed. "The name is Elara. Elara Vance." The receptionist's smile never faltered as she tapped away at her computer. "Of course, Ms. Vance. Dr. Sharma is expecting you. If you'll just have a seat, she'll be with you shortly." Elara mumbled her thanks and allowed Orion to guide her to a plush leather chair in a quiet corner of the waiting room. Her leg began to bounce nervously, her fingers twisting in the soft fabric of her skirt, a familiar ritual of anxiety. "Hey," Orion said softly, covering Elara's restless hands with his own. His touch was warm and grounding. "It's going to be okay. Dr. Sharma has helped hundreds of people just like you. She's not here to judge, only to help." Elara nodded, trying to draw comfort from his words, but as the minutes ticked by, her anxiety only grew. By the time a nurse appeared in the doorway, clipboard in hand, Elara was certain she was going to be sick. "Elara Vance?" the nurse called. Elara stood on shaky legs, Orion rising with her. "That's me," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. The nurse smiled kindly. "Dr. Sharma is ready for you now. Would you like your friend to accompany you?" Elara looked to Orion, who nodded encouragingly. "Yes, please," Elara said, "if that's all right." "Of course," the nurse replied, her tone gentle. "Right this way, please." They followed her down a short, brightly lit hallway, the soft click of Elara's low heels echoing loudly in the quiet space. At last, they reached a door with a tasteful, polished plaque reading, "Dr. Anya Sharma, Gender-Affirming Care Specialist." The nurse knocked once before opening the door. "Dr. Sharma, your 10 o'clock is here." Wonderful, send them in, called a warm, rich voice from within. Taking a deep, fortifying breath, Alara stepped into the office, Orion close behind. Dr. Sharma rose from behind her desk, her smile genuine and immediately welcoming. She was a striking woman in her late 40s, with salt and pepper hair cropped stylishly short and intelligent brown eyes that crinkled at the corners, hinting at a deep well of empathy. Her presence was both authoritative and comforting, instantly putting Alara slightly more at ease. "Alara Vance, I presume," she said, extending a firm, confident hand. "I'm Dr. Sharma. It's a pleasure to meet you." Alara shook her hand, marveling at the strength in her grip, a quiet reassurance in itself. "Likewise," she managed, her voice still a little tight. "This is my friend, Orion. I hope it's okay that he's here." "Of course," Dr. Sharma said, shaking Orion's hand as well, her gaze briefly acknowledging his supportive presence. "Support systems are crucial in this journey. Please have a seat, both of you." As they settled into the comfortable chairs across from her large, polished desk, Dr. Sharma leaned forward slightly, her expression open and attentive. A small, unlit aromatherapy diffuser sat in one corner, giving the office a subtle, calming scent of lavender and sandalwood. "So, Alara," she began, her tone gentle yet direct. "Why don't you tell me a bit about yourself and what brings you to my office today?" Alara swallowed hard, her fingers instinctively twisting in her lap, a nervous habit she'd had since childhood. She'd rehearsed this moment 100 times in her head, envisioned countless scenarios, from tearful confessions to stoic declarations. But now that it was here, real and immediate, she found herself at a loss for words, the carefully constructed narratives dissolving into a formless blob of emotion. Orion, sensing her struggle, reached over, giving her hand a reassuring squeeze, a silent anchor in the swirling uncertainty. Drawing strength from her friend's unwavering presence, Alara took a deep, shaky breath and began to speak, the words coming out slower, softer than she'd intended, but imbued with a raw honesty. "For as long as I can remember," she said, her gaze fixed on a distant point beyond the doctor's shoulder, "I've known that I was different. That the body I was born into, it isn't me. It isn't who I truly am inside." She paused, searching for the right words to articulate a lifetime of internal experience. Dr. Sharma nodded encouragingly, her pen poised over a pristine notepad. She didn't interrupt, simply listened, her intelligent eyes holding Alara's gaze with unwavering focus. "And who are you inside, Alara?" she asked gently, her voice devoid of judgment, merely an invitation. Alara's eyes welled with tears, but for once, she didn't try to hold them back. They traced hot paths down her cheeks, a release long overdue. She looked directly at Dr. Sharma, then briefly at Orion, whose expression was one of pure, empathetic understanding. I'm a woman," she whispered, the confession a delicate, fragile thing, yet immensely powerful. "I've always been a woman. I need help making the outside match the inside." As the words left her lips, a profound weight seemed to lift from Alara's shoulders. It was as if a dam had broken, releasing years of pent-up emotion, fear, and secrecy. She'd said it. After decades of hiding, of pretending, of performing a role that never fit, she had finally spoken her truth aloud, to someone who truly listened. A shudder ran through her, a mixture of terror and exhilarating relief. Dr. Sharma smiled warmly, a genuine, comforting expression that reached her eyes. "Thank you for sharing that with me, Alara," she said, her voice soft. "I know how incredibly difficult and scary it can be to take this first step, to articulate something so deeply personal. But I want you to know that you're not alone in this journey. Not at all. There are many people just like you who have walked this path before, and many more who will come after." She leaned back in her chair, her expression thoughtful, allowing Alara a moment to compose herself. "Now, I'd like to discuss your options. Gender-affirming care is a complex, deeply personal process, and there are many different approaches we can take, both medical and social. It's important that we find the path that's right for you, one that aligns with your goals and your comfort level. For the next hour, Dr. Sharma patiently explained the various medical and surgical options available. She spoke with a clear, concise understanding, demystifying complex medical terms and patiently answering every question Alara timidly posed. She covered hormone replacement therapy, its potential effects and timelines, surgical interventions like feminizing surgeries, and even the importance of mental health support throughout the transition. Never once did she make Alara feel judged, foolish, or overly concerned, addressing each apprehension with candor and compassion. Orion listened intently, occasionally interjecting with a clarifying question or a reassuring glance at Alara. As the consultation drew to a close, Dr. Sharma sat back with a warm smile. Well, Alara, I think we've covered quite a bit of ground today. How are you feeling now after all that information? Alara took a moment to consider the question, truly feeling the cascade of emotions within her. Overwhelmed, she admitted, a small, tentative laugh escaping her lips. But hopeful. For the first time in a very, very long time, I feel like there might actually be a light at the end of this tunnel. A real, tangible path forward. Dr. Sharma nodded approvingly. That's wonderful to hear, truly. That sense of hope is a powerful fuel for this journey. Now, I'd like to schedule you for some preliminary tests and assessments, blood work, psychological evaluations, and so on. Once we have those results, we can start putting together a more concrete, personalized treatment plan, tailored specifically for you. How does that sound? It sounds perfect, Alara said, a genuine, unburdened smile finally spreading across her face. It felt foreign, yet profoundly right. Thank you, Dr. Sharma, for everything. As they left the office, stepping back into the bright, sunlit lobby, Alara felt as though she were walking on air, her feet barely touching the ground. The world, which had often felt muted and gray, now seemed imbued with a vibrant new color. Orion slung an arm around her shoulders, grinning from ear to ear. See, he said, his voice laced with triumph. I told you it would be okay. Dr. Sharma is amazing, isn't she? Alara nodded, still somewhat dazed by the whirlwind of information and emotion. She really is. I can't believe this is actually happening, Orion. It feels like a dream. Orion's expression softened, and he pulled Alara into a tight, comforting hug, right there in the middle of the lobby. It's not a dream, sweetheart. This is real. You're finally on your way to becoming the woman you've always been inside. As they embraced, Alara allowed herself to truly believe, for the first time, that her deepest, most cherished dream might actually come true. The path was laid, the first step taken. And she wasn't alone. The weeks that followed were a blur of activity, a meticulously planned dance of medical appointments, therapy sessions, and what felt like endless paperwork. Alara threw herself into researching every aspect of her transition, determined to be as prepared as humanly possible for the profound journey ahead. She devoured articles, watched countless documentaries, and joined online support groups, soaking up knowledge like a sponge. Orion was there every step of the way, a steadfast pillar of unwavering support and a much-needed shoulder to cry on during the inevitable moments of doubt, fear, and emotional overwhelm. He accompanied Alara to appointments, helped her navigate the often complicated legal process of potentially changing her name and gender marker, and spent countless hours simply listening as Alara poured out her hopes and fears for the future. He celebrated her small victories and offered quiet comfort during her moments of despair. As the date of Alara's first hormone therapy appointment drew near, a fresh wave of anxiety began to build, a different kind of fear from the initial consultation. What if it didn't work? What if she changed her mind once the changes began? What if she wasn't strong enough to see it through? What if? The night before the appointment, Alara lay awake in bed, her mind racing with worst-case scenarios, a relentless loop of anxieties. The solitude of her apartment felt oppressive, amplifying her fears. Unable to bear it any longer, she reached for her phone and dialed Orion's number, her thumb hovering over his contact, then pressing it decisively. Alara, Orion's voice, thick with sleep, answered almost immediately. He knew her well enough to know she wouldn't call this late unless something was truly wrong. What's wrong? Are you okay? I'm scared, Orion, Alara whispered, her voice trembling, close to breaking. What if I'm making a huge mistake? There was a rustling sound on the other end, and Alara could picture Orion sitting up in bed, rubbing the sleep from his eyes, his brow furrowed with concern. Oh, sweetheart, he said softly, his voice imbued with a gentle understanding. It's completely normal to be scared. This is a monumental step. But you've wanted this for so long. You've thought it through, you've talked to the doctors, you've done everything right. This isn't a mistake, Alara. This is you finally becoming who you've always been meant to be. Tears slid down Alara's cheeks as she listened to her friend's reassuring words, a lifeline in her sea of doubt. What if people don't accept me? She asked, voicing her deepest, most primal fear, the one that truly kept her awake at night. What if I lose everyone I care about? You won't lose me, Orion said firmly, his voice leaving no room for argument. No matter what happens, no matter how you look or what name you choose, or anything else, you will always have me in your corner. And anyone who can't see how amazing and beautiful you are inside and out, they don't deserve to be in your life anyway. Alara closed her eyes, letting Orion's words wash over her, a soothing balm to her fractured spirit. Thank you, she whispered, her voice choked with gratitude. I don't know what I'd do without you, Orion. Lucky for you, you'll never have to find out, Orion replied, a warm smile evident in his voice, even over the phone. Now, try to get some sleep, okay? Tomorrow's a big day and you need your beauty rest. As Alara drifted off to sleep, Orion's calming words echoing in her mind, she felt a profound sense of calm settle over her. Whatever challenges lay ahead, whatever mountains she would have to climb, she knew one thing for certain, she wouldn't have to face them alone. With Orion by her side, she felt a quiet strength begin to bloom within her, ready to meet the dawn. The next morning dawned bright and clear, as if the universe itself were celebrating Alara's new beginning. Sunlight streamed through her bedroom window, painting the walls in warm, golden hues. There was a lightness in the air, a subtle hum of anticipation that vibrated through Alara's very bones. Orion, true to form, arrived early, armed with a tray of hot coffee and an assortment of pastries from Alara's favorite local bakery. Got to make sure you're properly fueled for your big day, he said with a wink, setting the goodies down on the kitchen counter, the aroma of fresh coffee instantly filling the apartment. Can't have you fainting on the doctor now, can we? Alara emerged from the bedroom, fidgeting nervously with the hem of her chosen blouse. She had, once again, agonized over what to wear. In the end, she'd settled on a comfortable pair of skinny jeans and a flowing blouse in a soft shade of sky blue, hoping it conveyed a sense of calm she didn't quite feel. Orion let out a low whistle of appreciation. Well, he said, grinning. Look at you, hot stuff. If I didn't know any better, I'd say you were trying to impress someone. Alara blushed, swatting at her friend playfully. Oh, stop it, she laughed, a genuine, joyful sound. I wanted to look nice. For myself. Orion's expression softened, his gaze meeting hers with a deep sincerity. And you do, he said. You look beautiful, Alara. Inside and out. They shared a quiet moment, the air between them thick with unspoken emotion, a comfortable silence born of years of shared history and profound understanding. Then Orion clapped his hands briskly, breaking the spell. All right, enough mushy stuff, he declared, his cheerful demeanor returning. Let's get some food in you before we head out. We've got a schedule to keep. As they ate, Orion kept up a steady stream of cheerful chatter, recounting funny anecdotes from his week, discussing his latest graphic novel finds, and making lighthearted plans for their post-appointment celebration. He was an expert at distracting Alara from her nerves, effectively building a buffer against the rising tide of anxiety. Before she knew it, the coffee was finished, the pastries devoured, and it was time to leave for the clinic. The drive to the clinic seemed to take both an eternity and no time at all. Each block felt like a mile, yet the destination arrived with startling speed. As Orion pulled into a parking space in the clinic's lot, Elara felt her heart begin to race anew, a frantic drumbeat against her ribs. Her hands, still clutching the empty coffee cup, trembled slightly. "Hey," Orion said softly, reaching over to squeeze Elara's hand, his touch steady and grounding. "You've got this. I'm so proud of you, you know that." Elara nodded, not trusting herself to speak. Her throat felt tight, a knot of mingled fear and excitement lodged there. Together, they made their way into the clinic. The waiting room was mercifully quiet, a soothing space with muted tones and soft lighting. Only a handful of other patients were scattered about, each immersed in their own thoughts or devices. Elara sank into a chair, her leg immediately beginning its nervous bounce as she waited for her name to be called. She focused on her breathing, trying to deepen each inhale and lengthen each exhale, a technique she'd learned in therapy to manage panic. After what felt like hours, but was likely only a few minutes, a nurse appeared in the doorway, a friendly smile on her face. "Elara Vance?" Elara stood on shaky legs, Orion rising with her, a solid presence at her side. "That's me," she managed, her voice barely above a whisper. The nurse's smile softened. "Right this way, please. Dr. Matthews is ready for you." As they followed the nurse down the hall, the soft click of Elara's low heels echoing in the quiet space, Elara felt as though she were walking through a dream, or perhaps a waking dream that was finally becoming reality. This was it. The moment that would undeniably change everything. Each step brought her closer to a future she had only dared to imagine. Dr. Eleanor Matthews turned out to be a cheerful woman in her early 30s, with a shock of curly black hair that framed a ready smile and bright, inquisitive eyes. She greeted Elara warmly, shaking her hand with a gentle firmness before gesturing for her to take a seat opposite her, in a chair that looked surprisingly comfortable. "So, Elara," Dr. Matthews began, her tone friendly but professional, her voice carrying a calm, reassuring cadence. "Today's the big day. How are you feeling?" Elara took a deep breath, considering the question honestly. "Nervous," she admitted, a small, wry smile touching her lips. "Excited? Terrified? All of the above, I guess." Dr. Matthews nodded understandingly, her smile broadening. "That's completely normal," she assured Elara, her gaze meeting hers directly. "Starting hormone therapy is a truly significant step, a huge milestone. But I want you to know that we're going to take things slow and steady. We'll be monitoring you closely, and if at any point you feel uncomfortable or have concerns or just want to talk, I want you to speak up, okay? This is your journey, and we're here to support you through it." Elara nodded, feeling some of the tightly wound tension begin to leave her shoulders. "Okay," she said, her voice a little stronger now. "I can do that." "Excellent," Dr. Matthews said with a reassuring smile. "Now let's go over the treatment plan one more time, just to make sure we're all on the same page and you feel completely informed." For the next half hour, Dr. Matthews patiently explained the hormone therapy process in detail. She clarified the specific type of hormones Elara would be taking, the expected physical and emotional changes, the timeline for those changes, and the importance of regular blood tests and follow-up appointments. She answered Elara's questions with comprehensive, easy-to-understand explanations and addressed her concerns with genuine empathy, dispelling any lingering anxieties about side effects or unexpected outcomes. By the time she finished, Elara felt significantly calmer, more informed, and more prepared for what lay ahead. The fear was still there, a tiny tremor, but it was now overshadowed by a profound sense of readiness and anticipation. "All right," Dr. Matthews said at last, reaching for a small, neatly packaged box on her desk. Her eyes held a sparkle of shared excitement. "Are you ready to take your first dose, Elara?" Elara's heart leapt into her throat, a sudden, powerful surge of emotion. This was it. The moment of truth. The culmination of years of longing, of silent battles, of quiet dreams. She looked to Orion, who gave her an encouraging nod, his eyes shining with pride. "I'm ready," Elara said, her voice barely above a whisper, yet infused with an undeniable conviction. Dr. Matthews smiled warmly as she handed Alara the box containing her first hormone prescription, a tiny, unassuming package holding the promise of a transformed future. "Congratulations, Alara," she said, her voice gentle and celebratory. "This is the first day of the rest of your life." As they left the clinic, stepping back into the bustling world, Alara clutched the small box to her chest like a precious treasure, a sacred artifact. It felt unbelievably real, heavy with promise. Orion slung an arm around her shoulders, his grin wide and uncontainable. "I am so incredibly proud of you," he said, pulling Alara close, his voice thick with emotion. "You did it, sweetheart. You took the first step." Alara leaned into her friend's embrace, overwhelmed by the torrent of emotions coursing through her. Joy, relief, triumph, and a profound sense of gratitude. "I couldn't have done it without you, Orion," she murmured, tears starting to well up again, but these were tears of pure happiness. "Thank you for everything." Orion pressed a soft kiss to the top of Alara's head, his warmth radiating through her. "Anytime, princess. Now, what do you say we go celebrate? I think this calls for ice cream. My treat." Alara laughed, a sound that felt lighter and more genuine than any she had uttered in years. The world seemed to shimmer with possibility. "Ice cream sounds perfect," she agreed. As they walked hand in hand towards Orion's car, Alara felt a sense of hope and possibility she'd never experienced before. The road ahead would be long and challenging, she knew. There would be more appointments, more changes, more moments of doubt. But for the first time in her life, she truly believed that happiness, true, authentic happiness, was not just a distant dream, but was within her reach. With that small box of hormones clutched to her heart and Orion by her side, a new dawn had truly broken. The months that followed were a whirlwind of changes, both physical and emotional, a profound metamorphosis that reshaped Alara's world from the inside out. With each passing day, Alara watched in awe as her body slowly, subtly, yet undeniably began to transform. The harsh angles softened, the masculine contours gently rounded, and new curves emerged in ways she had only dreamed of before. It was a gradual unfolding, like a blossom unfurling its petals, sometimes imperceptible day to day, but startlingly evident when she looked at photographs from just a few months prior. There were difficult moments, of course, as there always are with any profound change. Days when the hormones made her feel out of sorts, an unfamiliar emotional volatility sweeping through her, like tides she hadn't learned to navigate. There were periods when the slow pace of change felt unbearable, a frustrating crawl toward a distant horizon. And then there were the omnipresent fears, the fear of rejection, the judgment from a world that often struggled with difference, the anxiety that threatened to overwhelm her in quiet moments. But through it all, Orion remained a constant, unshakable source of support and encouragement. He was her rock, her confidant, her cheerleader. He learned to anticipate her mood swings, offering a comforting hug on a tearful day or a celebratory high-five when she noticed a new, exciting change. He listened patiently to her frustrations, celebrated every small victory, and reminded her, often, of the incredible strength and beauty he saw in her. He was there to share her joy when her skin became softer, when her hair grew thicker, when the first subtle buds of breast tissue appeared, marking undeniable progress. As Alara's appearance began to align more closely with her true gender, she found herself facing a new, equally daunting challenge, coming out to the people in her life beyond Orion and Dr. Sharma's team. It was one thing to embark on a personal journey, another entirely to share it with the world, inviting scrutiny, misunderstanding, and, potentially, pain. She started small, testing the waters with a few close friends who had always suspected there was more to Alara than met the eye, friends who had seen glimpses of the woman she truly was even before she herself could fully articulate it. To her immense relief and gratitude, most of her friends were overwhelmingly supportive. There were a few awkward moments, of course, well-intentioned but clumsy questions, and some initial fumbling with pronouns. But overall, Alara felt blessed by the wave of acceptance and love she received. They saw her, Not just the changes, but the core of who she was, finally shining through. Her family, however, was a different story. Elara had always been close to her parents and her younger sister, Lena. Their love was a foundational element of her life, and the thought of jeopardizing it with her truth was a source of profound anxiety. For weeks, she agonized over how to tell them, running through countless scenarios in her head. She drafted and redrafted letters, rehearsed speeches in front of her bathroom mirror until her voice was hoarse, each attempt feeling inadequate, incomplete. The weight of their potential disappointment, their confusion, their inability to understand, pressed down on her. In the end, it was Orion who, once again, gave her the courage to face her family. They were sitting on her couch one evening, Orion sensing her escalating distress. "They love you, Elara," he said gently, taking her hand. "More than anything. Maybe they won't understand right away. It's a big thing to process, and it might take them time to adjust their perceptions. But if they truly love you, they'll come around. They'll learn, they'll adapt, because their love for you is stronger than any preconceived notions. And if they don't, well, then they don't deserve you, honey." His words were firm, a loving ultimatum against her fears. So, with Orion by her side for moral support, a silent, steady presence that grounded her, Elara invited her family over for dinner. She spent hours preparing a meal, a futile attempt to distract herself from the churning storm in her stomach. Her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Vance, arrived with Lena, their usual cheerful demeanor masking the unspoken tension that Elara knew permeated the air. They sensed her nervousness, the carefully constructed facade that barely hid her trembling hands. As they sat around the dining table, the clinking of cutlery on plates unnervingly loud, picking at the meal Elara had painstakingly prepared, the small talk felt forced, brittle. Elara's heart pounded against her ribs, a frantic hummingbird trapped in a cage. Finally, she knew she couldn't delay it any longer. She put down her fork, took a deep breath, and felt Orion's foot gently touch hers under the table, a silent signal of support. "Mom, Dad, Lena," she began, her voice shaking despite her best efforts to steady it. The words felt alien, monumental, as if they belonged to someone else. "There's something I need to tell you. Something I've been keeping inside for a very, very long time." Her mother's brow furrowed with immediate concern, her fork pausing midair. "What is it, sweetheart?" she asked, her voice soft with worry. "You know you can tell us anything." Elara took another deep, shuddering breath, feeling Orion's reassuring presence beside her, a solid anchor. I'm transgender," she said, the words tumbling out in a rush, a dam finally bursting. "I've always felt like I was born in the wrong body. I'm a woman. And I've started the process of transitioning." For a long, agonizing moment, there was only silence, thick and suffocating. The air in the room seemed to freeze, the usual warmth of family dinner replaced by an icy stillness. Elara's heart pounded in her chest, a frantic rhythm that echoed in her ears as she watched the shock and confusion play across her family's faces. Her father's jovial expression crumbled, replaced by a bewildered frown. Her mother's hand flew to her mouth. Lena simply stared, wide-eyed and unblinking. Her father was the first to speak, his voice gruff with emotion, tinged with a deep, almost painful bewilderment. I don't understand, Elara," he said, his gaze searching, uncomprehending. "You've always been such a manly man. How can you suddenly decide you're a woman?" Elara flinched at the words, the casual use of her birth name and her father's ingrained perception, but Orion squeezed her hand under the table, lending her strength, urging her to continue. "It's not sudden, Dad," she explained gently, trying to keep her voice even despite the tremor. "I haven't suddenly decided anything. I've felt this way my entire life, even if I didn't have the words for it. I didn't know how to tell you. I was afraid of disappointing you, of losing your love." Her mother, tears glistening in her eyes, reached across the table, taking Elara's free hand in hers. Her touch was warm, familiar, a balm to Elara's raw nerves. "Oh, sweetheart," she said, her voice thick with emotion. You could never disappoint us. We love you, Alara, no matter what. It's a lot to take in, to be sure. A shock. But we're here for you. Always. Her grip tightened, a silent promise. Lena, who had been uncharacteristically quiet, observing the tense exchange, suddenly stood up and came around the table. Without a word, she enveloped Alara in a fierce, tight hug. I always knew there was something special about you, she whispered into Alara's shoulder, her voice muffled but clear. Something uniquely bright. I'm so incredibly proud of you for being brave enough to be yourself, Alara. Truly. As Alara returned her sister's embrace, feeling the warmth of Lena's support, the dam finally broke completely. The tears she'd been holding back for decades, not just minutes, began to fall freely, hot and cleansing. She looked over Lena's shoulder to see her father, still looking shell-shocked, but no longer angry, no longer just bewildered. A new emotion, softer and more vulnerable, began to show on his face. Son, or I suppose I should say, daughter, her father said haltingly, his voice rough with unshed tears. He cleared his throat, struggling to find the right words. I won't pretend I understand all of this right now. It's new to me. But I love you. And I want you to be happy. If this is what you need to do to be happy, to be truly yourself, then I support you. We support you. The floodgates opened then, and soon the whole family was crying, hugging, a tangled mess of shared emotion. Years of unspoken fears, of hidden truths, of guarded secrets, were washing away in a tide of profound love, acceptance, and a newfound understanding. The air, once thick with tension, now hummed with connection. As the emotional storm began to subside, Alara's mother wiped her eyes and managed a watery, but genuine, smile. So, she said, her voice still thick with emotion, but a lightness beginning to return, have you chosen a new name, sweetheart? One that fits the woman you are becoming. Alara nodded, a profound sense of peace settling over her, radiating from her very core. The tears still flowed, but they were now tears of pure relief and joy. I have, she said softly, her voice steady and clear. Zora. My name is Zora. Her mother's smile widened, a radiant glow spreading across her face. Zora, she repeated, tasting the name, letting it roll off her tongue. It's beautiful, sweetheart. Just like you. As the evening wore on, Alara, now Zora, felt as though a truly immense weight had been lifted from her shoulders. There would be challenges ahead, she knew. Misunderstandings to navigate, prejudices to overcome, a world still learning to accept and celebrate diversity. But for the first time in her life, she felt truly seen, truly heard, and unequivocally accepted for who she was, by the people who mattered most. The woman in the mirror was finally beginning to reflect the woman in her heart. Later that night, as Orion drove Zora home, the city lights a soft blur outside the car windows, Zora couldn't stop smiling. Her cheeks ached from the sheer joy, and a sense of giddy disbelief still bubbled within her. The monumental conversation with her family, which she had dreaded for so long, had ended not in rejection, but in an outpouring of love she hadn't dared to hope for. I can't believe it went so well, she said, her voice filled with wonder, a soft, happy sigh escaping her lips. I was so scared, Orion. So terrified. But they still love me. Orion reached over, taking her hand in his. His touch was warm, familiar, and infinitely comforting. Of course, they do, Zora, he said softly, his thumb gently caressing the back of her hand. How could anyone not love you? You're amazing. You're beautiful, brave, brilliant. You're just you. There was something in his voice, a warmth and tenderness that was deeper than just friendship, a quality that made Zora's heart skip a beat. It wasn't the first time she'd felt it, this subtle thrum of something more, but tonight, bathed in the afterglow of such profound vulnerability and acceptance, it resonated with a new, undeniable clarity. She looked over at her best friend, truly seeing him in a new light. She saw the unwavering support, the endless patience, the quiet strength that had carried her through so much. She saw not just a friend, but someone whose presence felt as essential as the air she breathed, someone who knew the deepest parts of her soul and loved them unconditionally. Her chest tightened with a realization that was both terrifying and exhilarating. "Orion," she said hesitantly, her voice barely a whisper, infused with a sudden vulnerability she hadn't anticipated. "There's something else I need to tell you." Orion glanced at her, concern etching his features, his easy smile fading slightly. "What is it, Zora? Is everything okay? You're not having second thoughts about anything, are you?" His grip on her hand tightened gently, his concern palpable. Zora took a deep, trembling breath, gathering every ounce of courage she possessed. This was another leap of faith, one that felt just as momentous, if not more so, than coming out to her family. The risk of shattering their perfect friendship, the foundation of her adult life, loomed large. "I'm in love with you," she blurted out, the words tumbling forth in a rush, raw and unguarded. "I have been for a long time. I think. I didn't know how to tell you. I was afraid it would ruin everything. Our friendship. I couldn't bear to lose you." The car swerved slightly, a subtle jolt that mirrored the shock in the air. Orion quickly righted it, pulling over safely to the side of the quiet, tree-lined road. He put the vehicle in park, the engine idling softly, before turning to face Zora fully, his expression a mixture of surprise, disbelief, and something else, something she couldn't quite decipher in the dim light of the dashboard. You love me?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper, laced with a wonder that mirrored her own. His eyes, usually so sparkling with mischief, were wide and searching, trying to read her truth. Zora nodded, her heart pounding a furious rhythm against her ribs, a frantic drum against the silence. "I do," she said softly, her gaze unwavering, meeting his. "I understand if you don't feel the same way. I truly do. I needed you to know. I couldn't keep it inside anymore." For a long, breathtaking moment, Orion just stared at her, his expression unreadable, a whirlwind of emotions playing across his face. The silence stretched, pregnant with unspoken feelings, each second feeling like an eternity. Zora held her breath, bracing herself for rejection, for the awkwardness, for the irreparable crack in their friendship. Then, slowly, a magnificent, radiant smile began to spread across Orion's face, transforming his features, lighting up the dim interior of the car. It was a smile of pure, unadulterated joy, a smile that reached his eyes and made them twinkle with an intensity she'd never seen before. "Zora," he said, his voice now a low, husky murmur, full of warmth and an almost overwhelming tenderness, as he reached out to cup her cheek. His hand was warm against her skin, sending shivers down her spine. "I've been in love with you for years. More years than I can count. I didn't think you could ever see me that way. I thought I was just your best friend, your support system. I was terrified of risking that by telling you." Zora's eyes widened in disbelief, a gasp escaping her lips. "Really?" she breathed, the word a fragile whisper. The revelation hit her with the force of a tidal wave, washing away all her fears and replacing them with a dizzying elation. Instead of answering with more words, Orion leaned in, his gaze locked on hers, and kissed her. It was a soft, hesitant kiss at first, full of years of unspoken longing, a tentative exploration. Then, as Zora responded, a wave of profound relief and reciprocal passion surging through her, the kiss deepened, becoming more confident, more fervent, a powerful declaration of intertwined souls. It was a kiss that tasted of hope, of long-awaited fulfillment, of a love that had simmered beneath the surface for so long, finally finding its release. When they finally pulled apart, both of them were breathless, their faces flushed, grinning like fools, their eyes shining with a newfound brilliance. The world outside the car, the quiet road, the distant city hum, all faded into insignificance. Only they existed, wrapped in the bubble of this incredible, unexpected moment. "Well," Orion said, his voice a little shaky, his eyes twinkling with mischievous delight, "I guess this is the start of a whole new adventure for us, huh?" Zora laughed, a sound bubbling up from deep within her, feeling happier than she ever had in her entire life. It was a happiness so profound, so complete, that it felt almost unreal. "I guess it is," she agreed, her hand finding his, their fingers intertwining naturally. "And I can't wait to see where it takes us." As Orion restarted the car and they drove off into the night, hand in hand, Zora felt a profound sense of peace and rightness settle over her. It wasn't just the thrill of a new romance, it was the intoxicating realization that her deepest self was finally being seen and loved in every dimension. The road ahead would undoubtedly have its challenges, she knew. Life was never entirely smooth. But with Orion by her side, a partner who loved and understood her completely, and the unwavering love of her family to support her, she was ready to face whatever came her way. For the first time in her life, Zora was truly, completely herself, in every facet of her being. And it felt, unequivocally, wonderfully, gloriously perfect. The years that followed were a whirlwind of change, growth, and the steady, beautiful blossoming of Zora's true self. With each passing day, she became more comfortable in her own skin, more confident in her identity as a woman. The subtle physical changes brought by hormone therapy continued, gradually aligning her outward appearance with the vibrant, authentic woman she had always known herself to be. Her skin grew softer, her facial features refined, and her body slowly curved into a more feminine silhouette. Each new development, no matter how small, was a profound affirmation, a tangible manifestation of her inner truth. Her relationship with Orion blossomed, deepening into a love that sustained and supported them both through the ups and downs of life. Their friendship, already the bedrock of their lives, now had the added dimension of a passionate, tender romance. They learned to navigate the nuances of a romantic partnership, discovering new layers of intimacy, trust, and shared joy. Orion, ever the steadfast companion, was even more attentive as Zora continued her medical transition, offering unwavering emotional support, practical help, and an endless well of affection. Zora continued her medical transition journey under the expert care of Dr. Sharma and her team. This phase involved more than just hormone therapy. It included undergoing various gender-affirming surgeries and treatments designed to align her body completely with her true gender. It wasn't always easy. There were days of significant pain and discomfort, post-operative recovery periods that tested her resilience, and moments of doubt and fear when the magnitude of it all felt overwhelming. The emotional toll of such a profound transformation was immense, but through it all, Orion was there. He held her hand during difficult appointments, wiped away her tears during moments of frustration, and reminded her, countless times, of how incredibly strong and beautiful she was, both inside and out. He took on the role of caregiver during her recoveries, patiently bringing her meals, helping her with medications, and ensuring her comfort. His presence was a constant, comforting balm, a tangible testament to their deepening love. As Zora's outward appearance began to truly match her inner self, she found a newfound confidence that radiated into all aspects of her life. The world began to see her as she saw herself, and this congruence was incredibly liberating. She no longer felt the constant internal struggle, the exhausting effort of performing a role that wasn't hers. This newfound self-assurance propelled her forward in her career as a graphic designer. She excelled, earning promotions and accolades for her creativity, dedication, and the unique perspective she brought to her work. Her portfolio became a vibrant testament to her journey, infused with a depth and authenticity that resonated with clients and colleagues alike. She also cultivated deep, meaningful friendships with people who accepted and celebrated her for who she truly was, not just for the person they thought she was. Her social circle expanded, filled with individuals who valued her vibrant spirit, her intelligence, and her kindness. She discovered the joy of being truly seen and loved for her authentic self, without reservation or caveat. Her relationship with her family, too, continued to grow and strengthen. While there were occasional missteps and misunderstandings, moments where old habits resurfaced or new information took time to process. Zora's parents and Lena made a concerted, continuous effort to educate themselves about transgender issues. They attended support groups, read books, and asked Zora thoughtful questions, always from a place of love and a genuine desire to understand. They learned to use her chosen name and pronouns naturally, celebrated her milestones, and supported her in every way they could. Family gatherings, once a source of anxiety and discomfort for Zora, transformed into joyous occasions filled with laughter, open conversation, and an even deeper, more profound familial love. 3 years after Zora's transition began, a journey marked by incredible courage and profound transformation, Orion proposed. It was a quiet, intimate moment, just the two of them, on a moonlit beach they had discovered during a weekend getaway. The gentle sound of waves lapping at the shore provided a serene soundtrack to their shared happiness. Orion, his eyes shining with a love that took Zora's breath away, knelt in the soft sand, holding out a simple, elegant ring that glittered faintly in the starlight. Zora felt her heart swell with an overwhelming tide of love and gratitude. Every challenge, every tear, every moment of fear had led her to this exact point, to this man, to this profound happiness. Zora, Orion said, his voice thick with emotion, trembling slightly despite his usual confident demeanor. You are the bravest, most beautiful soul I've ever known. You've taught me what it truly means to be authentic, to be true to yourself, to fight for your happiness no matter the odds. You've shown me a strength I never knew existed, and you've made my life infinitely richer, brighter, more meaningful just by being in it. I want to spend the rest of my life by your side, supporting you, loving you, laughing with you, growing with you. Will you marry me? Tears streamed down Zora's face, a torrent of joyous emotion, but this time they were not born of sadness or fear, but of pure, unadulterated bliss. She nodded emphatically, unable to speak past the lump in her throat. Yes, she whispered, her voice choked but clear 1,000 times yes. Their wedding, held the following spring, was a breathtaking celebration of love in all its forms, a joyous testament to their journey. The ceremony took place outdoors, in a lush botanical garden, bathed in the soft glow of the afternoon sun. Zora, resplendent in a flowing white gown that accentuated her graceful silhouette, walked down the aisle on her father's arm, her face radiant with a happiness that lit up the entire garden. Her parents beamed with pride, Lena discreetly wiping away tears of joy. Orion waited for her at the altar, his eyes shining with unshed tears as he watched his bride approach, his heart openly, completely hers. The moment their eyes met, a silent vow passed between them, a recognition of all they had overcome and all they had to look forward to. As they exchanged vows, pledging their eternal love and unwavering commitment before their dearest friends and family, Zora felt a sense of completeness she'd never experienced before. This was what she'd been searching for her entire life, not just the physical transformation, the external alignment, but the emotional and spiritual journey that had brought her to this exact, perfect moment. To be loved so completely, so truly, for every part of who she was the ultimate fulfillment. The echoes of her past self faded, replaced by the vibrant symphony of Zora, fully realized, fully loved, fully alive. In the years that followed their beautiful, joyous wedding, Zora and Orion built a life together that was rich with love, laughter, and unwavering mutual support. Their home became a sanctuary, filled with the warmth of shared dreams and the comfort of deep affection. They reveled in the everyday moments, finding profound joy in the simple acts of living side by side. Mornings began with coffee and quiet conversation, evenings ended with shared meals and the gentle ritual of reading together. Their adventurous spirits led them to travel the world, exploring ancient ruins in Rome, hiking breathtaking trails in New Zealand, and marveling at the vibrant cultures of Southeast Asia. Each journey was not just a collection of experiences, but a deepening of their bond, a testament to their shared curiosity and their desire to experience life to its fullest together. They collected memories like precious jewels, each one adding to the gleaming tapestry of their shared life. Eventually, their home grew warmer with the pitter-patter of paws. They adopted a pair of mischievous rescue dogs, a scruffy terrier mix named Comet and a fluffy golden retriever called Luna, who filled their days with boundless energy, comical antics, and unconditional canine love. The house, once a quiet retreat, now echoed with joyful barks, the thud of wagging tails, and the constant, comforting presence of their furry companions. Yet, as fulfilling as their life was, there remained a quiet, unspoken desire in Zora's heart, one that mirrored Orion's. They dreamt of expanding their family, of bringing a child into their loving home. After much thought, discussion, and heartfelt consideration, they decided to pursue adoption. The process was long, arduous, and emotionally taxing, filled with mountains of paperwork, interviews, and waiting. There were moments of frustration and despair, periods where hope felt elusive. But their love for each other and their unwavering determination to become parents carried them through. Finally, after nearly 2 years of waiting, they received the call that would change their lives forever. A beautiful baby girl, with a shock of dark hair and eyes that sparkled with nascent curiosity, was waiting for them. Her name was Aurora. Bringing Aurora home was an experience of unparalleled joy and profound wonder. Zora and Orion embraced parenthood with open hearts, learning and growing with each new challenge. Zora found a new depth to her capacity for love, a fierce, protective instinct that transcended anything she had ever felt before. Holding Aurora in her arms, rocking her gently to sleep, singing lullabies, Zora felt a sense of completeness that echoed her own journey of self-discovery. She saw in Aurora's innocent face the boundless potential of life, the beauty of being truly, unconditionally loved and nurtured. Zora never forgot the struggles and pain of her early years, the feeling of being trapped in a body that didn't match her soul. Those memories, rather than being a source of lingering sorrow, served a different, more powerful purpose. They deepened her empathy, broadened her understanding, and made her more compassionate, more determined to help others who were on similar journeys. She became an outspoken advocate for LGBTQ+ rights, volunteering her time at local community centers, speaking at conferences, and mentoring newly out transgender individuals. Her story, once a private struggle, became a beacon of hope and resilience for many. She often shared her experiences, not to dwell on past hardships, but to illustrate the transformative power of self-acceptance, the importance of a strong support system, and the profound joy that comes from living authentically. Every challenge I faced, she would tell her ments, every moment of doubt, every ounce of pain, it all led me to where I am today. And where I am today is a place of absolute, undeniable happiness. Your journey is yours alone, but you don't have to walk it alone. Orion, ever her partner in life and activism, stood proudly by her side. He often spoke about his role, not as a hero, but as a devoted partner. My job, he would say with a gentle smile, was simply to love Zora, to listen, and to hold space for her to become the incredible woman she already was. Love isn't about understanding everything, it's about accepting and celebrating someone exactly as they are. Their life together, with Aurora, Comet, and Luna, was a vibrant, joyful testament to the power of love, authenticity, and resilience. It was a life built on the foundations of truth, courage, and the unwavering belief that everyone deserves to live authentically and find their own version of happiness. As Aurora grew, Zora and Orion ensured their home was a vibrant tapestry of love, learning, and acceptance. They read to her every night, their voices weaving tales of bravery, kindness, and diverse families. They taught her about the beauty of individuality, the strength found in empathy, and the importance of standing up for what is right. Aurora, with her bright, inquisitive mind and an open heart, absorbed these lessons effortlessly. She saw her parents not just as mom and dad, but as the unique, loving individuals they were, their journey a natural part of their family story. Zora's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Vance, now firmly in their role as loving grandparents, were a constant presence in Aurora's life. Their initial struggles with understanding Zora's transition had long since faded, replaced by a profound respect and pride for their daughter. They cherished Zora's chosen name and celebrated every milestone in her life, fully embracing Orion as their son-in-law and Aurora as their beloved grandchild. Lena, Zora's younger sister, became Aurora's favorite aunt, always ready for an adventure or a quiet cuddle. She was fiercely protective of Zora and a vocal advocate for transgender rights, inspired by her sister's courage. The family gatherings, once tinged with unspoken anxieties, were now boisterous, joyful affairs, filled with the warmth of unconditional love and the delightful chaos of a growing family. Zora's work as a graphic designer continued to flourish. Her unique perspective, fueled by her deeply personal journey, often infused her designs with a powerful authenticity and emotional resonance. She began specializing in projects for nonprofit organizations focused on LGBTQ+ advocacy, mental health, and social justice. Her art became a form of activism, her visuals telling stories that fostered understanding and celebrated diversity. She designed campaigns that challenged stereotypes, created educational materials that simplified complex issues, and crafted logos that became symbols of hope for marginalized communities. Her professional success was not just about accolades, but about making a tangible difference in the world. Orion, meanwhile, found immense fulfillment in his role as a stay-at-home father and a burgeoning online content creator. He used his natural storytelling ability and quick wit to produce engaging videos and articles that demystified gender identity and relationships, often sharing snippets of his own experience as a supportive partner to a transgender woman. His gentle humor and genuine warmth resonated with a broad audience, offering comfort, education, and a sense of community to countless individuals and families grappling with similar journeys. Together, Zora and Orion became a powerful force for change, their public and private lives intertwined in a shared mission of love and acceptance. Their relationship, already built on such strong foundations, continued to evolve and deepen. They faced life's inevitable challenges as a united front, navigating everything from Aurora's school-age anxieties to career decisions and the everyday stresses of modern life. They learned that true love wasn't about perfect harmony all the time, but about commitment, honest communication, and the willingness to grow together, even through disagreements. Their love was a living, breathing entity, constantly adapting and strengthening. One evening, as Aurora slept soundly in her bed and Comet and Luna snored softly at their feet, Zora and Orion sat on their porch swing, gazing at the stars. The cool night air was peaceful and the soft chirping of crickets filled the silence. "You know," Zora said, leaning her head on Orion's shoulder, "sometimes I still think about that first day. Walking into Dr. Sharma's office. How terrified I was. How fragile that hope felt." Orion wrapped an arm around her, pulling her closer. "And look at us now," he murmured, his voice laced with profound contentment. "Look at the life we've built. The family we have. The joy you radiate. It's more beautiful than anything I could have ever imagined for us." Zora smiled, a soft, contented sigh escaping her. "It is," she agreed. "It really is. And I wouldn't trade a single struggle, a single moment of fear, because every one of them led me here. To this. To you. To Aurora." She thought about the girl who once stared at a reflection she didn't recognize, trapped in a silent internal scream. That girl felt a million miles away, yet Zora carried her story, her resilience, as a cherished part of herself. She knew that her happiness wasn't just a personal victory, but a legacy she was building for Aurora and for countless others. A legacy of authenticity, courage, and the radical idea that love, in its purest form, knows no bounds. As the years unfolded, Zora and Orion continued to be pillars of their community, their story inspiring many. They celebrated milestones, Aurora's graduation, their own silver wedding anniversary, the continued evolution of their advocacy work. They saw changes in the world, slow but steady shifts towards greater understanding and acceptance, knowing they had played a part, however small, in paving that path for others. Their love story wasn't just about two people finding each other, it was about one person finding herself, and in doing so, opening a universe of love and possibility for everyone around her. The passage of time only deepened the rich tapestry of Zora's life. Aurora grew into a brilliant, compassionate young woman, embodying the very values of acceptance and authenticity her parents championed. She pursued a career in social work, dedicated to supporting vulnerable youth, often sharing her unique family story as a testament to the power of unconditional love. To Zora, watching Aurora thrive was the ultimate fulfillment, a living testament to the world she and Orion had strived to create. Zora herself, now a celebrated figure in the LGBTQ+ advocacy space, continued to leverage her talents as a graphic designer to create powerful campaigns that resonated globally. Her work adorned billboards, filled social media feeds, and became iconic symbols for various movements. She authored a memoir, a beautifully illustrated account of her journey, from the silent struggle of her youth to the vibrant joy of her present. The book became a bestseller, touching countless lives and offering solace, understanding, and hope to those navigating their own paths. She often found herself on national and international stages, sharing her story with grace, humor, and unwavering conviction, always emphasizing that her journey, while unique, was fundamentally about the universal human desire to live truthfully. Orion remained her constant, her rock, her greatest champion. His online platform had evolved into a respected resource for families and partners of transgender individuals, offering practical advice, emotional support, and a community built on empathy. He published his own book, a heartfelt exploration of his experience as a partner, providing invaluable insights and proving that love truly is boundless. Together, they were a formidable team, their individual strengths amplifying their shared mission. Their love story, once a private whisper, had become a public anthem, celebrated for its depth, resilience, and revolutionary simplicity. Their home, no longer just for two, was always bustling with activity. Aurora, even as an adult, frequently brought her own friends and colleagues over, drawn by the warmth and open-heartedness of Zora and Orion. Family gatherings were legendary, expanding to include partners, chosen family, and a diverse array of friends. The kitchen table, once the site of Zora's nervous confession, now groaned under the weight of celebratory meals, surrounded by laughter, lively debates, and the joyous clamor of generations coming together. Comet and Luna, now senior dogs with a dignified air, presided over it all from their favorite sunny spots, occasionally stirring for a well-deserved belly rub. Zora's parents and Lena remained integral parts of this ever-expanding family. Her father, once bewildered, now spoke with articulate pride about Zora, often correcting others if they accidentally misgendered someone, a testament to his profound growth. Her mother, whose initial tears were of worry, now shed tears of overwhelming joy at every new accomplishment. Lena, forever Zora's fiercest ally, delighted in being Aunt Lena to Aurora and was a constant source of witty banter and unwavering sisterly love. One quiet afternoon, years after their wedding, Zora and Orion found themselves back on that moonlit beach where Orion had proposed, the one that had witnessed the deepening of their love. The sun was setting, painting the sky in fiery hues of orange and purple, mirroring the vibrant life they had built together. They walked hand in hand along the shore, the gentle waves washing over their bare feet, a comforting rhythm to their shared silence. Zora squeezed Orion's hand. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if I hadn't made that call to you that night?" she asked softly, the memory of her fear a distant echo against the vastness of their present joy. Orion turned to her, his eyes, still sparkling with that familiar mischief and deep love, met hers. "I don't," he confessed. "Because I always believed in you, Zora. Even when you didn't fully believe in yourself. I knew, deep down, that you were meant to shine. I was just lucky enough to be there to catch you when you finally let yourself unfurl." He paused, gazing out at the horizon where the last slivers of sun dipped below the ocean. "And you, my love, you have done so much more than just unfurl. You've grown into a forest, a vibrant, resilient ecosystem. You've taught me what true courage looks like, what unconditional love means, and how much beauty there is in simply being your authentic self. Zora leaned her head on his shoulder, feeling the familiar comfort of his presence. She closed her eyes, letting the sound of the ocean fill her senses. The girl who had once gazed into a mirror with despair now looked back at her with a knowing smile. That girl's journey, filled with silent battles and quiet yearning, had blossomed into a life beyond her wildest dreams. She had found not just her true self, but a family that embraced her, a partner who loved her fiercely, and a purpose that resonated deeply within her soul. The road ahead would continue, with new horizons to explore, new challenges to face, and new dreams to chase. But Zora knew, with a certainty that settled deep in her bones, that she was ready for all of it. With Orion by her side, with Aurora's laughter echoing in her heart, and with the unwavering love of her ever-expanding family surrounding her, Zora was truly, gloriously, unequivocally home. And it was, in every conceivable way, wonderful.